Yo, what's happening, captains? So, right now, I'm just sitting here and we are going to react to a bunch of crap. Nope, that's the webcam. Haha. Oh, look at that. So, right now, we are going to react. Oh, Westbrook. Why are you like this, my man? Ooh, let's react to some wrestling. Maybe that'll work. As you can see, this is what I watch. Yeah, I know I watch a lot of weird stuff, a lot of different stuff. Oh my God. Okay.
In 2018, Sony Santa Monica Studio created one of the best mixes of combat and storytelling ever made.
Yes, for sure. One of the better games that was ever made. Oh, I'm just checking my settings. Don't worry about it, people. Just checking my settings. But yes, this game.
God of War. God of War Ragnarok has a lot to live up to, and so far I'm happy to say I'm loving the opening moments. I've had the opportunity to play.
So this is my first reaction to this. This is like my first reaction. I haven't watched anything since even the initial announcement. I think I've only watched that trailer. So yeah.
Through the first 5 hours or so, and it has delivered an engaging, emotional story with portions of Kratos violently ripping things in half, sprinkled in between touching story beats.
Oh, the final preview, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're unfamiliar with what took place in the 2018 God of War, or just want a refresher, there's a bite-sized recap available at the main menu. This has become a tradition for...
Good. I'm glad they started doing that, because it makes you not feel like you need to buy the first game, but when you do buy the first game, it makes you kind of want to buy the first game.
PlayStation games that I hope continues. Having that synopsis gives us a reminder of the tone the original left off with as I start this new adventure. And that tone for Kratos and Atreus is one of understanding and care between them. Today they have a common goal of survival, and they are working to stay safe during the 3-year Fimbulwinter. During the opening scenes of Ragnarok, it's clear that Atreus is a very different person than his father. He takes more time to interact with animals they encounter, like the wolves who pull their sled, or an octopus that sends him off with a gift. He even chooses to approach a situation that his father clearly had other... sends him off with a gift.
All right, hang on.
He even chooses...
That is beautiful. When it comes to a video game, seeing something like this with the controller in hand, just wow. That's great.
Just to approach a situation that his father clearly had other ideas about in his own way, as Kratos tries to advise him using his past experiences as a lesson. Atreus has matured a lot in Ragnarok, and you'll literally hear that maturation from the first time he speaks. The differences in personalities strike a wonderful balance between Atreus and Kratos. Atreus wants to explore and uncover the mysteries of the world, whereas Kratos seems content keeping his head down, and more important,
Kratos just wants to survive. Kratos is like, look, man, I know, young man, you ain't been through enough of this, but I'm gonna give you some facts. I'm gonna give you some facts right now. It's hard out here for a pimp.
Importantly, keeping his son safe. He struggles to admit that maybe he could learn a thing or two from his son.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general.
Not like a general. That dude know what a general thinks like.
Atreus is getting older, and with that age, he's becoming more independent. It feels like their relationship has been solidified in the time since the 2018 God of War, but hiding away in a snowy place protected by magic.
And I get to play this on PC. Like, I have a PS4, but man, I get to play this on PC, and I might stream this.
Freeze is enough to make anyone want to get out and explore. The primary danger that they have looming at the start of Ragnarok is Freya. She's still mourning the death of Baldur and seems inconsolable, while also understandably furious about the death of her son. It becomes clear that the safe haven this father and son have built won't remain so for very much longer. To tell the story of Ragnarok, the game again uses that continuous camera shot. Here's what we were told by God of War animation director Bruno Velasquez about why they chose to go that route.
The goal of that is so that the player feels that they're going along in that journey with Kratos and Atreus, and that you never really leave their side.
Not only does this make you more invested in each
it makes you feel like you are part of the game, and I think that's a lot of
moment.
Bang, feel that pain. But I think there's a lot of things game designers don't get nowadays. We like to think these as bugs. Video games have become some people's bugs. We're not looking for a maybe not long drawn out dialogue, but a well told story mixed in with, I guess you would say, our hands, our imagination instead of the brain. We get to control the combat. We get to control how the story somewhat plays out.
But a shouted "look out" or "shield bash now" can be the difference between life or death.
We try to approach God of War Ragnarok with the story never really ends. So you're always being told the story, even through combat, even through encounters, dialogue that happens between the characters outside of combat and the cinematics, like while you're exploring. So we just always think like, okay, the story should never really end. There shouldn't be a clear divide. So I think by having that approach, it helps us to sort of blend the two together and string them together.
Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir do explore new areas like the warmer European climate found in the wetlands and the pit mines as they search for Tyr. The wetlands...
Yes, baby, yes, we're actually gonna see Tyr. I knew they showed it earlier, but...
are the first time Ragnarok really opens up and lets you look around. You're able to go directly to the next story beat, as clearly indicated by a large yellow icon beckoning you to continue, or get lost on various side tasks as indicated by bright blue icons across the map. There's collectibles to find, like the ravens that make a return, and there's also lore, apples, and legendary chests to open that will require some searching and plunder. Oh, and of course, plenty of pots to smash for a little extra hack silver. I admit I also smashed many of the pumpkins found in the wetlands, but mostly just because I like that squishy sound they make when they explode. Hey, you know what else makes a cool squishy sound? An enemy as I dismember it in battle. And thankfully, those dismemberments won't always be Kratos using his hands or blades to do said dismembering, because the team has now added weapon-specific finishers.
Oh, that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that...
Just make it a little bit better. You don't have to make it like all the way too crazy. You don't have to make it like you have to do some big, ginormous, different thing. No, just at the little touches
we got from the previous game. So for the first time ever in a God of War game, we were able to have weapon-specific kills. So in the previous games, you would always default back to the Blades of Chaos, or Kratos would use his hands. But this time around, if you have the axe equipped or you have the blades equipped, you're going to get a different kill.
Playing through on Give Me God of War is not for the faint of heart. Any mistake was met with a massive chunk of health evaporating or a meeting from my old friend the try again screen. However, it also forces you to take your time, consider how every encounter unfolds, what armor you select, and what shield will work best when perfecting your parries. Getting through an island unscathed is exhilarating. If you're going to jump in on this difficulty like I did, Bruno has a few tips to share.
As you can see in God of War Ragnarok, now we have a lot more of a traversal and mobility that can be used in
a grapple hook. We hook. You already got the blades where you go like. Wish you could pull them forward, but now is this a separate weapon?
Combat as well, so that you can grapple up to ledges and pull yourself up, which adds.
First of all, why haven't y'all make Blade of Chaos like a grappling hook from the beginning? It makes so much sense. Just saying.
More verticality to the combat, and that's obviously an inspiration from the previous games, right, where Kratos could do that before. We wanted to sort of like draw inspiration from those old games and see how we can bring back some of those fan favorite moves.
One blessing that made this difficulty setting a little bit more bearable was mid-point boss battle checkpoints. If you manage to clear a checkpoint and are low on health, the game will give you just enough to stop that rapid heartbeat noise and give you a chance to look around the field to see if there's any health power-ups laying around. And in just this short time alone, we've faced off against several bosses, including a very large, very angry bear, a ferociously large lizard that spews area of effect lightning.
They're saying this is in the first 5 hours. In the first 5 hours, you're going to experience a lot of this.
Attacks at you, and none other than...
Well, I can't wait to never finish this game.
and the Odin son himself, Thor.
So good.
The Thor fight was amazing. From his bravado throughout the entire encounter to the way he taunts Kratos, the fight was a highlight and did not disappoint. To keep it somewhat spoiler-free by focusing on the attacks, I'll say it wasn't too tough to get by, that the moves with the hammer were a lot of fun to dodge, and the thunderous slaps were a lot of fun to parry, and then follow up with a slap to Thor's noggin. Every fight presents its own unique challenge. But my reward...
So I'm guessing that's the first initial fight, but not the first fight. You know what I mean? Like that's like, the first big boss battle fight. And then something happens where he probably is gonna like disappear, or y'all gonna fall through some ice, some trope.
Is figuring out how to get my timing right and figuring out how to conquer each boss's unique moveset. And part of that planning includes picking the best skills to unlock along the way. And one thing I love to see is the option to disable skills if they're messing up your timing when you're doing combos. Pro tip, do not sleep on leveling up Atreus. His sonic arrows are legendary, as they'll stop enemies dead in their tracks or prevent them from powering up to the next difficulty tier.
This time, we also wanted to expand his repertoire and to show him
I feel like
that he's more of a seasoned fighter now, that he's been training with Kratos for like 3 years.
okay, see now that even explains a character getting better. Like, okay, the 3 years since he's passed, Atreus just low key is just not that guy yet, but you can slowly see him becoming that guy.
Fimbulwinter, so we actually added a lot of melee moves for him as well.
See, now that's good. You're like progressing with it. Like you could, first of all, he is probably one of the best side AI characters that they've ever created in a video game. Like most follow characters, you have to give them so much direction. He's almost like if you don't even want to play with a like you can just ignore him, let him do his own thing, or you can command him and do some of the great things that he can provide. And this game is probably going to expand upon that,
so that when you're near the enemy, it doesn't feel like he's just only relying on his arrows. So then we have a lot of cool melee moves. He still jumps on the enemies and holds them like in 2018. And there's options there where like we allow Kratos to even command him a little bit more than he did in 2018. So I think just the fact that he has both range and close-up melee, it allows us to sort of make it feel more natural that he's collaborating and helping Kratos during the fights.
There are also different shields to choose that react much differently in combat and do a great job of lending to your playstyle.
Now, I've always wondered if God of War should go a Dark Souls with the story kind of take, or it should kind of treat it how it's been treating it. It's not open world, but it feels open world. I mean, can you think about a God of War, Dark Souls, except with,
The Dauntless Shield.
Maybe that's what the difficulty build is. Like, yo, you gonna play like Dark Souls. Oh, we'll give you Dark Souls.
My personal favorite is considered high risk, high reward, as you'll need to perfect your parry timing. But if you do, you'll be able to double tap the parry button and return that energy to your foe for a massive hit of stun damage. Inversely, there's the Stonewall Shield that will absorb attacks and once charged up will return those strikes as a blast of damage to enemies nearby. It's just the right amount of RPG without being too overwhelming. And all of the garb you wear is important as it also helps you build towards your playstyle, and each piece has their own strength or defense stat to consider as you level them up. There are important options to consider in combat. Do you go more for strength? You can build towards damage, stun attacks, defense, or runic attacks.
All right. See, I'm a tank kind of guy. Wherever game I go in, tank my character up, probably more defense than offense. So for me, like definitely having a mixed play styles when it comes to video games is my thing. If like, I don't like the overpowered build. Like if a build's gonna be overpowered when it's maxed out, every build should be overpowered when it's maxed out. So it feels like you're being the rock hard guy without being the rock hard guy. Everybody's rock hard when we're all maxed out,
And these are,
instead of saying, yo, this is the speed run build, Like, nah, man, I want to be top notch no matter what it is. So if one build's gonna be OP, especially in a single player game, make them all OP. That's what I'm saying.
Pivotal decisions you'll need to make as you manage your resources. I have been building towards parries and stuns, which Velasquez points out is a great option for players.
You can actually finish enemies much faster if you stunt them and then get to the finisher quicker. So again, it's offering options for the player. So yeah, some things will allow you to deal more damage, some things will allow you to deal more stun. So it'll be fun for the players to see what play style they pick and what they gravitate towards.
The combat continues to be masterful in Ragnarok, and using all the abilities at your disposal is the difference between life and death. And leverage the new option of climbing vertically when an annoying acid-spitting Grim or Nightmare won't get off your case. Grims are a new projectile-spewing, toad-like creature that I particularly enjoyed watching Kratos eviscerate. So as I reach the end of my preview window, I'm eager to hop back in and keep playing more God of War Ragnarok. I'm incredibly excited to see how this story unfolds.
Yo, I want to see it.
And I hope I've left you eager to hear more, and you will on Thursday, November 3rd at 9 a.m. Pacific when a reviewer posts his thoughts here on IGN. For more God of War, check out this Norse myth expert reacting to the Ragnarok story. And for more on all things gaming, well, you're already in the right place.
Well, all right now. I'm excited now. I wasn't excited when the original one in 2018 came out because I was just more excited for the story. But when I probably played it 2-3 years later, and it was kind of one of the first games that really got me back into gaming, you know? So I am not like super hyped. Expectations probably 7, 8, but it's probably gonna be a 10 out of 10 regardless. But yeah, man. Shoot. I'm gonna do some things real quick, check some stuff out. Be back in a minute.